Hi, I'm Suneera Madhani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Along the way, I learned that less than 2% of female founders ever hit 1 million in revenue, and I became obsessed on a mission to change that. I believe that there is so much gatekeeping in business knowledge, and that we as female entrepreneurs should be learning from other female founders and leaders who have broken the statistics. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Hi, I'm Suneera Madhani, and your host of CEO School, the podcast. Thank you so much for listening along. Today, I'm going to be sharing a story when Stacks, my business, that is now, a $100 million business, 300 employees, 23 billion payments, blah, 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 all the thing, when it broke. And not just broke once, broke again, and broke again. In 2014, I shared the story inside of our course as well of when we had a major article in Fast Company come out, and it was on the front page of Fast Company online. It was earned media. I had no idea that I was even speaking to a reporter. Like I was speaking to a reporter, but I had no idea what it would actually do to our business. And I was not very well, had any media training or anything like that. And it was a great interview. But he put it on front page Fast Company titled, "Meet the Woman Trying to Change the Credit Card Industry." And he went into so much detail about our business model, which is a flat subscription and payments. It was really disruptive and just put it online. And there wasn't any female players in fintech at the time. I don't think fintech was like a word that was readily used. A lot of the payments companies, 99% of them, operated by men. And here I was calling out kind of all the bullshit in payments and what I was doing differently. So he put that right in the forefront, and the article went viral. And at that time, there was, we barely had a social media. We barely had, I don't even think we had it. We did not have an Instagram account. So I think we had a Facebook account, and we had a GoDaddy website. Like literally our business was young and new, and we probably onboarded maybe 10 customers a month at that time. And we literally it was our Shark Tank moment where, phones are ringing off the hook. And it's never happened again, by the way. We've earned so much press. I've never, ever, ever had an experience like we did for that one particular piece. And I'm telling you, we've had even greater press since then. But something about it, I think it was timing, the universe, good energy, that reporter, and just I think the naivete of us like not honestly knowing like what this could be for our business. All these phone calls started coming in, and I had a desk. If you can see me here, it's like the size of this desk, like an IKEA desk, and it was me, one employee, and an intern in a room that was probably the size of an 8x10 rug, like so tiny. We had one single phone in the office, and our one phone was literally ringing off the hook, and our website crashed. So we had a form on our website, and our website crashed. People were trying to fax in applications. It was chaotic in the best and worst possible way. So we literally had to call the phone company, get additional phones installed, and the startups that were on our floor. So we were in a shared co-working space, and the startups that were on our floor all had to help us answer phones. We had no CRM system. We had no systems in place, right? We were not built for scale, and we were just receiving phone calls and phone calls. One, even our messaging wasn't clear because there were so many industry types that we don't support that were calling in. We had investors calling in. We had people looking for credit cards calling in. And then we also had real legitimate business and so much opportunity on the other side. I think for, 72 hours straight, none of us slept. My brother flew in from California, and he ended up never leaving. So he ended up coming down and then joining the business. And, my sister-in-law flew down from New York. Like literally everybody was just serving customers. And it was the most incredible thing, but also I call it like one of the worst things that ever happened to us because honestly, everything broke, right? And we weren't ready. We weren't ready for scale and we weren't able to actually capture demand. Like if I share some pictures of what this looked like, we literally had post-it notes all over the walls. We literally took us 48 hours to get like the website forms back up and running. And it was a nightmare for like the time period that we should have been capitalizing on. And that is when I would say was like the big aha moment for me when I needed to go from being an entrepreneur to CEO and really thinking about scaling the business in the right way. And I wanted to make sure that we had the right processes in place. We were thinking about scale. And honestly, for the first time, I would say that I saw the opportunity to scale the business as well, right? I was thinking too small. I'd never seen, I didn't know that we could go build $1 million business, let alone $1 billion business. So it was the first time that I was like, holy shit, we have something. How do we scale it? And that's when I started learning about, technology. And technology was super, super important for us internally, but also for the product that we wanted to give back to our customers. We wanted to own that experience. But long story short, it was kind of this big pivotal moment. But we literally broke. And in 2014, we decided that we would never break again, right? And that we were going to set ourselves up for 10x scale. Okay. And we did exactly that. So our next year, we call it a thematic goal. So every year we have like a big goal for the company and we write it like at that time, there was maybe 5 employees at the time, but we had it written like on our laptops. We had it written on the whiteboard, one whiteboard that we had in our tiny office, but it was 10x scalability and that we were going to get out of any system that wasn't built for 10 times the scale. So if we were onboarding 10 customers a month, how do we get to boarding 100 customers per month without breaking, right? And so that was kind of the concept. If we were taking 100 transactions per minute, how do we get to 1,000 transactions a minute? So everything we were thinking about 10x scale. And this is something that it's like one of the biggest lessons that I had in business, and it was a few different pieces of it. Is one is we're not thinking big enough, but 2, that we have to build for scale. And we did that, but we broke again, right? And then I'm like, holy shit, like we broke again at a certain point, but we scaled to that next level. And then our systems weren't serving us at that next level when we were at that 10x, right? And we had to break it again. It was broken and we had to fix it again. We had to rebuild again until this next phase. And what I realized is that what gets you from 0 to 6 figures isn't what's going to get you from 6 to 7. And it's definitely not what's going to get you from 7 to multi-7 or multi-7 figures to 8, right? It's supposed to break because scale is all about getting to that next milestone. And then it breaks for you to have to rebuild to get to that next level. And it's not just on tools. It's not just on systems. It's also on people. Right? So even the people that you have today might not be the people that get you to the next point as well. And so I was actually, where this all goes is, so I did a whole module on this, inside of our course for CEO school, and talking about scale and going from founder to CEO, huge mindset shift, and actually how to actually implement tools and systems to scale. But I was recently, last week, I was reminded of this when I was discussing scale during an interview for a potential C-suite candidate. So I was talking to this executive that I was looking to potentially bring on, and I was telling him about scaling and how, we're just at this point right now. We've crossed 100 million in revenue. We, want to get to 250 million in revenue. And he's like, what is your biggest challenge right now? And I'm like, honestly, everything's breaking again. But I'm not scared because I know it's supposed to break because it's broken so many times in the past. It was supposed to break. And now that I know that, and I've lived through those experiences of scale, right? From 1 employee to then 10, then again to 30, and then 30 to now 300. At every 10x, it's broken for a reason. And so we were discussing this and he's laughing and he says, oh, it's actually you know, and he's a Vista guy, which just means he's preppy and probably went to Harvard and works at this fancy private equity. And so sometimes those guys really like to like mansplain things. He was talking about this founder, Hiroshi Mikitani, who is founder of Japan's largest e-commerce retailer. And he was talking about the rule of 3 and 10. So in business school, there's actually a rule of 3 and 10, which I had no idea about because I didn't go to CEO school and I don't have my MBA. But I have to learn through experience. And the rule of 3 and 10 is actually a real rule. And I was mind blown. I'm like, oh, I've been talking about this for so long. I just call it 10x scalability. I didn't know that there was an actual rule in business school called the rule of 3 and 10, where literally everything breaks at predictable intervals. So I had to learn this lesson the hard way, breaking every step of the way. But I want all of you to obviously learn from my experience, but also through so we don't have to, we can be prepared together. And this is so spot on. And so when I look back and when he talked about the rule of 3 and 10, it's actually either at 3x or at 10x. So that's where it's supposed to break. And you can apply it to whether it's revenue, you can apply it to whether it's your employees, whether you can apply it to customers, you can apply it to your clients, you can apply it to wherever your system is in place for that. It breaks again. And honestly, we can even apply it to kids. Like when you have 3 kids, it's much different than having 1 kid, right? It's supposed to break. Your systems are supposed to break. And so it's the rule of 3 and 10. But the good news here is that we can get ahead, right? And it's totally okay to break because it's supposed to. And so if you are in your business right now, and you have 1 employee and you're looking to scale and you get to that next point, you're at 3, it's going to break again. You're going to have to reevaluate your systems. And that's how business grows. And I think this is a huge learning from the boys club. I had to learn it the hard way that we should be prepared for that level of scale and that rule of 10. And so where you are in even your customers, if you have a process today and you're onboarding X amount of customers per month, if you want to get to that next point, really do think about scaling now and don't just wait for it to break to scale. And this is always iterative, right? And this is a huge part of CEO school and the program itself on how much we emphasize on scaling, and the actual systems that you need to evaluate. It's so important for you to take credit. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that it's breaking. And we get so frustrated with, oh, well, now like this system isn't working and we have all these new tools and this could be better. And our customer support system is blah, blah, blah. As women, we are constantly like, even as CEOs, right? We're looking for the thing that's broken, but it's supposed to break. And something that you have to, even if it's put together with Band-Aids and systems that aren't perfect, I would look back and say, what are like the lowest hanging fruit with the highest impact, right? What are some systems that can really transform your business? What are the biggest pain points that you're having, whether your customers are having it or you're having it with your team? And looking at that rule of 3 and looking at that rule of 10 and picking one at a time based on the importance and tackling those systems. And so that was a conversation I had last week with an executive. I actually didn't end up hiring him because he was mansplaining way too much. But I have experienced this, and that was the exact place of our 2014 story. It happened again in 2017. It's happened again in 2020. And here we are again at 140 million in revenue, 300 employees, and it feels like it's breaking again. But this time, I'm prepared. And I hope you are too. And I hope you enjoyed today's scaling tips and the rule of 3 and 10. If you enjoyed today's quick episode, let me know below and let me know what other topics you want me to cover. Leave us a review. This is how we grow. Screenshot this episode and share it on social media with your female entrepreneurs that need to be in on our club. I'll see you next week at CEO School. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you loved it, leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you authentic conversations, game changer expert guests, and valuable content on and offline. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on Instagram at CEO School and at Suneera Madhani. We are obsessed with swag, so don't be surprised if we want to send you some. Thanks for tuning into class today, and remember, nothing bad happens when women make more money.